Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number, we think it's going to be 91, but who knows here at Gaston's great. We do all kinds of stuff. But remember, this is a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We have another great organization and I guess events. We'll describe it that way this week as we highlight the Gastonia East Rotary Club, and a little more specifically is their 8th annual summer concert series that they put on here in downtown Gastonia. We have Drew Horine with us today. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, that's close enough. Believe me, I've heard it pronounced every which way.
So Drew is the chair of public image for his Rotary Club and specifically the chair of the concert series. So Drew, it's great to have you on and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. So, we'll get right to it. So Drew, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself to begin with before we kind of get into the meat of the program.
Well, I may have been born on a distant planet sent here by desperate parents waiting for their planet to explode or something like that. That's about all the history you'll get out of me.
So no kryptonite in the room.
No kryptonite in the room, and probably no shellfish either. That would probably be a safe bet for me. I've been in Gastonia East Rotary for about close to 5 years now. Okay. And it's been an amazing journey there, but I got involved with the concert series here post pandemic, and just really thought this was a great opportunity here to bring Gastonia together. But also, we use this to raise money for local charities. To date, we've given just about $200,000 back to Gastonia through the concert series, and so. We wanted to make sure that we had some great bands this year, something for everybody in Gastonia, but also we wanted to make sure that people realize what this is going for. I mean, and how we actually raise money with a free admission concert.
All right, very good. So this is kind of how I thought this episode might go with our pre-recording talk. Drew completely ignored almost the first question to talk about himself, which is typical for Rotarians and the people who serve the community, right? They want to get right to the topic, and I appreciate that. So yeah, let's first maybe there may be somebody out here listening who doesn't know what Rotary is, even. So let's maybe talk specifically about your club, the second best club in Gaston County, the Gastonia East Rotary Club. Maybe talk about that, and in all seriousness, what is Rotary, and then we'll dive into the event, and it's more than one event, right? It's a series, excuse me, and then so let's go from there if you don't mind.
Well, you mentioned a lot of people don't know what Rotary is, and most of my life that was actually the case with me. I looked at Rotary, and the only thing I knew about it was that they had a sign outside of every small town in America.
That's true.
Right alongside the
Lions Club,
the Lions Club, and the Kiwanis, and I was like, I have no idea what this is. I thought it was a place where old white people went to have lunch. That's pretty much all I knew about Rotary. And several years back, a friend of mine invited me to a Rotary Means Business event, and I was all about business networking, and so I got to learn a little bit about what Rotary does, and come to find out they're making a huge impact in communities, not just in my neighborhood, right, but around the world. And they're involved in some of the most influential projects that you've never heard of. For example, Rotary's mission for the past decade, several decades, has been to eradicate polio from the earth. And a lot of people don't even realize that polio was still a thing. But Rotary International set out on a mission several years back when it was a massive problem across the globe, and said, we want to get rid of this disease from the earth so that it never comes back again. And right now, the organization is just about there. I think there were like 3 cases last year.
Yeah, it's a super small number, yep.
In the entire planet. And when you think about what that used to be 100 years ago, that's the kind of difference that Rotary makes. But then they also make a difference in communities across America and across the world. In my local community, Gastonia East Rotary uses events like the concert series to raise funds so that we can give it right back to Gastonia. We give back to organizations like Strong Like AK, the Woman in Pink, an organization that that gives wigs to women who are battling cancer, to Bit of Hope Ranch that takes horses that need a safe place to go. They rescue horses, and then they say the horses rescue people. They use those horses for therapy for people who have gone through trauma. And so organizations like that, we're proud to help. They make Gastonia a better place, and that's really what Rotary is about. It says right on the website, service above self. You mentioned, like, when we were coming in, I don't like to talk about myself a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
But and that's what the heart of Rotary is. We're making a difference in our communities. We're here to serve the community, and that was something that I really was able to get behind.
Well, I appreciate that, and that was completely unprompted that you just mentioned episode number 24 of Gaston's Great, Bit of Hope Ranch. So if you want to learn a little more detail about that, please go back and listen to that episode. So, and of course, I'm kidding, Drew, about the second best club in Gaston County.
I like to say we're the most fun.
I only say that because my brother Joel is a member of that club. But listen, both clubs have been around a long time. I will take, as a member of the Gastonia Rotary Club, I will take credit that we did launch the club. I think it was our 25th or 50th anniversary. But yeah, the East Club is a super strong club, and they do so many things here. And I think Rotary, my experience is Rotary is almost one of those in each community really well-kept secrets sometimes. Luckily here we do have the Rotary Pavilion downtown, so which is
now equipped with bathrooms.
Yes, that's another. That was our 100th anniversary gift to Gaston, to the City of Gastonia from our club. So we've mentioned a lot of things. The Rotary Pavilion. You've touched on the concert series. So and you touched on your club and Rotary in general. So let's go ahead and get into the concert series. And why are we here talking about it today? You've kind of mentioned why you got involved with it, but kind of talk about your role, what your club does, cooperation. I mean, there's so many people that have to cooperate and collaborate to get this thing off. I've been to multiple of the events over the years for lots of different reasons. One, because they're fun. Maybe that might be sometimes the least of the reasons, but that's what you get out of it. So kind of let's just talk anything and everything about the series.
Well, like you said, this is our 8th annual concert series. For the past 7 years, my good friend Barry Wright was
very well.
It was his brainchild, really, to have some concerts that would raise money for the organizations that we support. For 7 years, he pretty much shouldered everything by himself. This year, I'm the chairperson, but we've got a whole team of like 5 or 6 people that are all doing basically what Barry did for the past 7 years, which was organize all the bands, make sure that they got all the sponsorships and all of that. So hats off to Barry, because he did a fantastic job with this series. And he's still on board with us, but he was like, you know what, we need more people involved with this. And so I'm thrilled to be involved with it. I'm an amateur musician myself, so and a child of the 80s, so I love rock and roll music. And so I said, I want to get involved with this. We talked to the city this year, and the city came back to us with some kind of some guidelines that they wanted to see happen at this year's concert series, and they were guidelines that really went right hand in hand with what we were talking about internally. So it's really cool when you start syncing things up. And one of the things that they said is they want to make sure that this is an event that's for all of Gastonia. It's an event or events that will bring the entire city together. It's some place where everybody from young families to senior citizens can come. People from all ethnicities, backgrounds will have something there at the concert series for them. And we said that's exactly what we want to do this year. And not that it wasn't that way in years past, but we've got a lot more things this year that are for the entire family.
So fair to say you're just being a little more intentional about that?
Oh, we're being a lot more intentional about it this year. From our band selection to our activities, we've got a ton of activities this year for kids. The Honey Hunters are coming out with their entire kids zone area. So they've got the giant inflatables and obstacle courses. BAM is going to be there, so you can get your picture made with the Honey Hunters mascot. Some of the players, I think, will be out there. And so we're really excited about that, because if you're a parent in Gastonia and you've ever tried to sit with kids in a lawn chair in front of a show, that's probably not the greatest experience for you. So we want to make sure everybody has a great experience. We do have beverage sales. Most of our funding for the charities that we support come from beverage sales and sponsorships of the concert.
Okay.
And so this year, we've enhanced our beverage sales to make sure there's more options for people, whether you drink adult beverages or not. So we've got some soft drinks, and we've got some more adult beverages. And a lot of our soft drinks are provided by Sundrop, so hats off to them for stepping up. And food trucks. We've got more food truck options this year, so that you can go. You don't have to fix dinner ahead of time. But one of the things that we were very careful about this year was making sure that our food truck and drink offerings don't compete with the local downtown businesses. We want to support downtown. We want downtown Gastonia to grow and to thrive. And so we want to make sure, we're not offering things that compete with Mangiamo or Pita Wheel or Viva Taquis or any of the other restaurants that are down there. But there are options there that families are going to like. We've got things from hot dogs to cookies to snow cones, all kinds of things like that. But I think probably the thing everybody's going to want to know about, honestly, is the bands.
Absolutely. Yep.
So they're like, get to it, Drew. Come on.
No, this is good. We're already ahead of schedule compared to a normal episode, Drew. Yeah.
So we're recording this on May 15th.
Yep.
If I checked my phone correctly.
Yep.
It's
not going to, it won't, the first concert will already be passed.
Yep. So we're going to knock on wood and say, our first concert was a wild success with On the Border and Garrett Huffman. This year in our concerts, we've got 2 bands at each concert. At each event. The reason that we did that is because we wanted to feature some local Gastonia artists as well as some more regionally known bands. And we went out to the community and said, hey, who do you want to see at the Rotary Pavilion? Who would you love to see play live there? And of course, people, had suggestions like on Journey and Motley Crue, they're a little bit out of our price range. So, in all
Taylor Swift? No.
Yeah. In all seriousness, we got a lot of great suggestions. We reviewed over 60 bands that were in the running for this concert series. And so we looked at, not only do they play good music, but what kind of stage presence do they have? How much fun are the audiences having? And that was what was really important to us. We want to make sure that everybody that comes to these concerts is going to have a great time. We're going to it's not just about, rocking out to the music, but it's about really having fun at the series. So May 19th, we had On the Border and Garrett Huffman. On June 23rd is our summer solstice, so it's our funk and soul night with the Voltage Brothers. Oh, you'll have to edit that out.
No, again, sorry.
No editing on
this
this
didn't
one.
mention this beforehand, but if I mess up, we leave. I mean, we edit it out, but if our guests mess up, we leave it in. So. Sorry, Drew.
All right. Well, I'm totally comfortable with that. So, the Voltage Brothers, they're a high-energy funk and soul band. They are so much fun, so much energy. And their special guest is Emerald Empire, who puts on a fantastic show. They play everything from 80s and 90s music. All of your party favorites is Emerald Empire. So that is on June 23rd. I should mention all of these concerts are on Friday nights from 6 to 10 p.m. At 6 o'clock, our opening act will start, and then at 7 o'clock, they'll take a short break. We've got DJ'd music and dancing out there, as well as a presentation that'll talk about who we're supporting,
Gotcha.
what
Okay.
Rotary is, and all that. And then at 7:00, the other act will come out and entertain until 10:00. So August 11th. Or we are skipping July. I should say that the city's putting on like a little thing on July 4th. I don't really know what kind of holiday that's celebrating or anything. I think they're gonna maybe shine a flashlight in the air. Or something.
Yeah.
No, the city's planning on putting on a great 4th of July celebration this year, and so we want to get behind that. And then we'll be back in August 11th, with Caleb Davis, and he's going to do his Dancing Through the Decades show. He's going to start in the 60s, work through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. He's bringing his band with him. I talked to Caleb the other night at a benefit for Cancer Services of Gaston County. And he was playing live at the benefit, and he said, he's so excited to be coming out there and doing that. Opening up for him is Tangerine Trees, which is a local favorite. They are like the best Beatles band
Oh, wow.
you can think of. They're they play all kinds of places around Gastonia. I think they've got an upcoming show at the Rooster. So we're really excited to have them back again this year. They always put on a great show. Then in September, we're going to have 80s Night at the Pavilion. This is going to be so much fun. Kids in America it's like if you walked into somebody's living room and Cyndi Lauper and Michael Jackson and Huey Lewis and the News
and the cassette deck
and Run DMC were all like there in the room, maybe some Aerosmith or something. They're all in the same room together. That's basically Kids in America.
So you had the big cassette deck boombox going.
Yeah,
back in the day.
I don't know about
before
you, but,
Naomi was born.
When I was a kid, I used to carry that big giant boombox around.
Absolutely.
I was delivering newspapers, so that was back when there was an afternoon paper, and I was carrying my boombox around. I had the big Top Gun sunglasses on.
Oh yeah,
and it's all of
Listen,
that stuff.
I'm an '80s music guy myself, so I hear you.
If you like '80s music, you like to dance, or if you just like to rock out, you're gonna love that. Wear your '80s sunglasses. Wear your '80s sunglasses that night, and their special guest
That's
is
the 1980s is what we're talking about.
1980s, yeah.
If you were just wondering, not the 1880s or the.
And if you were born at that time period, come out anyway. You're gonna have a blast. Opening up for them is Akita, and they are. Again, another high energy band, and they play music through the decades, all your party favorites from the 80s and 90s. So they're gonna put on a great show for us as well.
All right, so Drew just went through the entire gamut of everything happening downtown, and so these are at the Rotary Pavilion downtown, correct?
That's right. If you don't know where the Rotary Pavilion downtown is, because you say that, it's at the Rotary Centennial Pavilion. Most people don't know it's called that. It's the big building with columns downtown that you can stand under, and it's a stage and all that. It's right there at South and Main.
Yep, the north end of South Street. Yep.
And just come in. Admission is free, and so it doesn't cost you anything. Bring the lawn chairs. And just have a great time. Yeah,
I would argue that for the investment required of walking or driving down there, it's as good of entertainment you're going to find for here locally, especially for what's required to get in. I mean, it's just a matter of I guess you encourage people to bring their own chairs and that type of thing too.
Yep. Unless you want to sit on the grass,
sure,
you're welcome to sit on the grass. But we're expecting some really great crowds this year, and especially with the kids area. I'm really excited about that part of it. I have kids myself.
Yep.
One of them is grown, but one will be playing in the kids zone. So I'm really excited about adding that aspect to the series.
All right. So this is the 8th annual event. So have you been involved long enough? You mentioned some organizations, or can you share? Go ahead and share. Are there specific organizations that you support with each one, or is there? So can you share some of that, and maybe even have you seen some specific impacts that you guys have made through this series over the years, and maybe talk about something so our listeners might kind of get a feel for what's behind the scenes, so to speak.
Absolutely. So the funds that we raise during the concert series, they go into a general fund that's earmarked specifically for our grant programs.
Okay.
And those grants go to local Gastonia organizations. This year, we'll be passing out these cards at the events,
okay.
But we've got a list of all the organizations that we've helped this year through these grants. And
Gotcha.
each one of these organizations listed on the back got a $1,000 grant from Gastonia East Rotary. So I'm just going to run through them real quick, and I'll highlight a couple of things that maybe people in the audience might not know about.
Sure.
So Strong Like AK, the Woman in Pink, we mentioned that before. The Piedmont Community Charter School esports team. If you don't know what an esports team is, so if you've ever been in school, particularly middle school, you know that not every student in middle school is athletic.
Correct.
I certainly was not athletic. I was generally the smallest kid in my class. But there are other things that they can compete in that have actually grown to have college scholarships associated with them. And one of those is esports. It's actually playing video games in a competitive environment where you're competing against other schools, other regional teams, and
it's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, my son has been involved with a team with Call of Duty, and actually done some training with a team as a coach through Clemson University of all things. So it's huge. It's out in
and there are actually college scholarships kids can. Yeah. And these are the kids that are not going to go to school on the football scholarship, but these are the kids that went to school on a football scholarship are going to be working for one day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, could be.
That was my son. He's a computer science major at NC State. Go Pack.
That's right.
So
maybe we should just stop the episode right now, Naomi, after that, because everything that I dreamed about accomplishing with Gaston's Great just happened. But I think I
know Kelly Morris over at our club is going to throw a fit and unsubscribe as soon as he hears that.
That's
so
okay.
That's
Sorry,
all right.
Kelly. So, but I even think Gaston College, if they haven't done it yet, esports is going to be part of their overall sports program as well. So it's surprising. In fact, a little bit different than the Atari 2600 that I was playing. Playing back in the day. But
do you remember the little toggle you could do on Space Invaders to get the cheat and double fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But it's but listen, if the video games, when I was that age, if the video games were available then that are now, I'm not sure that I wouldn't have been doing that all the time either. I mean, of course, I did. My parents were probably saying the exact same thing. You spend way too much time on your Atari 2600, son. Space Invaders and Asteroids and Pitfall and
man, we should do a whole podcast
Adventure
on that. Man, Adventure.
All right, sorry.
So
we went down a rabbit hole there, Naomi.
Jumping back here to some of the organizations we support.
Yeah.
So Bit of Hope Ranch, we mentioned them earlier. Carolina Caring, they're an organization that does hospice and palliative care for children, and we had them come to our club and do a program not too long ago, and I tell you what, everybody in the house was about ready to cry because it's so heartbreaking, and these people do this day in and day out. Gaston Dance Theater, they do ballet here in Gastonia. The Dream Center Academy, these kids they just need a shot in life, and they're doing great in their schooling because of Dream Center Academy. They've got a shot at college. Boys and Girls Club of Greater Gaston. And then the backpack weekend food program. So it makes sure that kids who are at risk of being hungry have food that goes home with them on the weekends. So organizations like that are benefiting people right here in Gastonia that a lot of people may not even be aware of, but it's an opportunity for us to make a difference with those organizations.
So Drew just mentioned, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those have been previous episodes of this podcast. So in all seriousness, listeners, if you want to learn more about some of those organizations, go scan our list of episodes, and you can learn more about some of the great work those groups are doing, because, to Drew's point, these are And I also like the fact that these are vetted, so to speak, organizations that we know the work that they're doing, and I know that the East Club, like most organizations that are giving money out, they do a lot of legwork and back end work to make sure how this money is being used. And again, that's kind of part of having an organization like Rotary, behind a series like this is helping raise money. But there's also other things that you guys are doing, I know, as a club to help these raise the funds that allow you to help the community. So we just covered a lot in a pretty short period of time there.
Faster than I should sometimes.
No, that's okay. So what do I know we're just getting started on this year. You're looking ahead. What do you see? Sounds like you've done some adjustments this year, maybe, or some tweaks to the series a little bit. But looking ahead, I mean, is this something I'm assuming your club is going to continue to support and plans on doing for in at least the next 5 or 10 years, or what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, we plan on doing this as long as the city wants to work with us,
right?
And we enjoy working with the City of Gastonia. They've been really great. They've been great about helping us evolve this into something that, as Gaston County changes, we want to make sure that we're going to be able to adapt with it. And we've had a lot of people moving into Gaston County that are new to the area, that maybe they didn't know about this, and maybe they're looking for ways to connect with people who have been in Gastonia their entire lives. And so this is an opportunity, I think, to really bring the community together. One of the things I love about Gaston County is the diversity of cultures that are here. I just love the fact that we've got people from all over the place, people from all walks of life, people from all ethnic heritages, people from all religious backgrounds that are here, and we make friends, and we get to know one another. We do life together, and that's part of what makes Gaston County a great place to live. I've been here for 14 years. Not a native Gastonian, but I consider myself one now, because it's such a fantastic place to live, and I want everybody to know about that.
Sure, and you just kind of listed the underlying purpose of Rotary too, in a way, about the diversity and what we're trying to accomplish, and not just here in our local community, but everywhere. So I kind of this next question, you've already kind of described so many reasons already, but I'm going to make you answer again anyway. So, why there's so many things that your club does, that the city is involved with, allows things like this to happen. But why would you say Gaston County as a whole is kind of better because, first, of this event, this series that you guys put on, and then maybe just, the Gastonia East Rotary Club as well? Why is Gaston County better off because you guys are here and working in our community?
Well, I've talked a lot about our giving and the things that we do there. But aside from that, I mean, this is a place where you can go and we typically have 50 people at our Monday lunches.
Yeah.
But we also have people that come in and do a program for us every week that talks about something that affects us as Gastonians. So we can have people from the city government come in talking about the road projects that are happening. Yep. We have people coming in talking about the various nonprofits that are at work in our community. We have people coming in talking about things that are going on in other parts of the world. Like today we've got our speaker hike the Appalachian Trail, and he's going to tell us about his experience hiking the Appalachian Trail. Next week we've got people coming in from Turkey and Syria talking about the situation over there since they had the massive earthquake, and what Rotary's doing over there, because Rotary is indeed an international organization. And so we've got just every week there's something that you can learn from each other, and you can learn from the speakers that come to our club. And then we also do things to support local law enforcement. We do a lunch for them every year around 9/11. We do things to support at Thanksgiving, we provide a meal for senior citizens that maybe wouldn't get Thanksgiving dinner, or maybe just looking for some people to hang out with.
Yeah.
And so we do things like that. And most of it, we don't do it just to say, hey, we're great. We do it because we see a need and we want to meet that need in our community. And I think that's really, that addresses this, not just the spirit of Rotary, but the spirit of what Gastonia should be about.
That's really good. And so I appreciate that. Was kind of a different take on that. And I think I mentioned this earlier. Again, Rotary, I think maybe even internationally, is a really well-kept secret. But that's part of the point too. Rotary does this we're just doing things and not really looking for that recognition. We're looking more for the result.
Right.
But to your point, Rotary has also done a good job with the club structure, in my view, about fellowship and getting to know people. I know I wouldn't, in my club anyway, there's a good group that I would not interact with otherwise.
Right.
If I didn't go over there to that meeting every Thursday.
The people that you make friends with in Rotary, and we're not talking about just, the rubbing elbows. It's genuine friendships you're making in there with the leaders and influencers in your community. I mean, people in our community are like the chief of police, former mayors, people who have big businesses, people who have small businesses,
ministers, executive directors
retired,
of nonprofits. Yes.
All of these people are in Rotary working together, and it gives us a chance to kind of have everybody's perspectives come forward, and you get to learn more about different perspectives from other people. If you maybe think about something, we're not a political organization at all, but maybe you feel a certain way politically, you get to hear other viewpoints,
right,
and maybe think about things from a different point of view. And I think that's a really healthy thing for everybody to do. But for me as a Rotarian, I mean, I just love the fact that I get to go and be friends with people that I probably never would have had the opportunity to meet outside of Rotary.
Yeah, and to our listeners out there, if something that you might be interested in, my guess is that most of our listeners you probably know somebody that's a Rotarian or has a connection to a Rotary Club, because there's 3 clubs here in Gastonia. We've got a club in Belmont, Mount Holly, Cherryville. So there's multiple, opportunities if you're someone who's interested and wants to get involved with an organization that's, for the most part, focused on serving both our local community and then second, even internationally. So again, take that for what it's worth, and I think Drew's done a good job of that sales for that. So, Drew, is there anything that
I'm not paid by Rotary, by the way. So.
Is there anything I haven't asked that I should have asked about our topic today before we kind of shift gears into another?
I mean, if you want to know more about the concert series, you can go to GastoniaEastRotary.org. We've got links to all of our social media there, so you can definitely follow us on social media. We've got all the details there. And if you're going to the concerts, like our events and share those, because we want to get this word out to everybody in the Gaston County area.
Yeah, of all the, I don't know, I'm going to say issues that I have with social media, this is an example of events like this, stuff that Rotary's doing. Well, frankly, what we try to share here with Gaston's great. Those are the power of social media, right? Being able to exponentially share information and get information out there very quickly in front of a lot of people. So again, I appreciate you reminding us about that. So we're going to shift gears real briefly, like we do every episode. We're going to call this what are we going to call it this week? The second best Rotary Club speed round of questions. Yes. Thank you, Naomi, for clearing that one up. But you've been here long enough, Drew, here in Gaston County, to be able to answer some of these questions. And I think I actually mixed them up a little bit here. But first up is the most important one is, what's your favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Oh, you're going to be shocked by this answer.
We'll see.
Be totally shocked by this answer. I'm actually more of a soft serve guy, so I go over to the Dairy Queen right down the street there. That stand has been in business for over 70 years.
Has been there a while, yes.
And that's one of those, you talk about best kept secrets in Gastonia. I love that little Dairy Queen there, and to get my little soft serve dipped in chocolate. Man,
I was getting ready to say that. Growing up, now my parents, my dad was originally from Gastonia. My mother actually lived up above Mount Holly, grew up in Lucia, of all places, but they were Tony's people. I actually was a chocolate-dipped cone Dairy Queen kid growing up. I mean, I was much more preferred that over now I'm a milkshake guy from Tony's when I get the chance. But that's good. That's a good answer. How about this is where I might go off of what you were expecting. Can you name a favorite movie?
Oh man. So it kind of changes from year to year. I'm a sci-fi geek. And I love like modern sci-fi movies and superhero movies and things like that. But I also really love the old cheesy B movies.
Okay.
And I think one of my favorite movies, because it's so bad, it is so awful. And if you've never heard of this movie, you've got to go watch it. And if you get a chance, watch the Riff Tracks version of it, where they have the guys sitting there making fun of the movie while you're watching it. Is Birdemic Shock and Terror?
I'll have to admit, I have not caught that one.
It is the worst movie you'll ever see, but it's so fun to watch because
you're not selling this one very well. If it's the worst movie ever,
it's so fun to watch because it is so horribly bad. I mean, the special effects look like they were done on Microsoft Paint or something.
Yeah, that's good.
It's hilariously bad.
Okay, maybe we get some feedback on that from some of our listeners. Favorite local restaurant?
Oh man, Pita Wheel.
Yeah, Pita Wheel's a popular answer, I can't say anything other than that because I'm a regular visitor to Pita Wheel.
I do love me some Hickory Tavern.
Yeah, Hickory Tavern's good.
Webb is great, but I'm not made of money.
Well, in 14, you've been here. You said you've been here for 14 years, so that's long enough to see the changes and how, we've got options now. If you really want to, you don't have to go across the river anymore. To find a lot of different choices there.
And I love seeing that happen. I love seeing more restaurants come into downtown. I love the fact that Mangiamo is there, Viva Tequis is there. I just love seeing that happen. I want to see more of that happen in downtown Gastonia because I think that's just a fantastic place to be with nothing but potential.
Absolutely. How about favorite childhood memory?
I saw Star Wars at the drive-in theater in 1977. It's my earliest, the earliest I ever remember seeing a movie. I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow. So I'm not trying to one-up you, but I saw Star Wars at the Diane 29. There used to be a theater out in West Gastonia.
Yeah, the road's still there.
Yeah, Diane 29 theater. I saw Star Wars there, and I actually saw Rocky at Webb Theater. Before it was, closed down and was converted to multiple things over the years. Of course, now it's a terrific restaurant. So again, I appreciate that. So here's the question, and I want to go there, and I'm hoping
everything leads to this, folks.
Everything leads to this. So UNC Duke or NC State?
Oh, go Pack!
I can't really say. I was going to be disappointed if we didn't go there. So
well, my son's a computer science major at NC State, so. I'm a little partial.
Drew is officially in the top 3 guests of all time now on Gaston's Great.
But I wouldn't have said Duke anyway.
Good.
So,
what is something very few people know about you?
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of an open book, so
I kind of gathered that from this.
I'm all over social media, so there's not a whole lot people don't know about me. So my daughter was adopted from India.
Oh, wow.
So 7 years ago, June 1st.
Okay.
So that has been a tremendous journey for us. She has blessed our lives so much. And most of the people in my Rotary Club know this story because they've followed her, but she has cerebral palsy.
Okay.
And about 3.5 years ago, Shriners Hospital rebuilt her legs. She was not going to be able to walk into her teenage years, and they rebuilt her legs. And when she was still in the wheelchair, we're like, what are some of your goals? Of course, she's little, and we said, what are some of your goals? And she said, I want to play soccer. And we're like, okay, that's going to require a lot of work. I mean, you're going to have to work your tail off for this. This Saturday, she finished her 5th season playing YMCA soccer, and it's been an inspiring journey to watch her. She can run, she can kick, she can mix it up, and just watching her every time. We live on a 3rd floor apartment right now.
Okay.
And that's a whole other long story. But she goes up and down the stairs fine.
Wow.
All because of that opportunity that she got at the Shriners Hospital down in Greenville. They do fantastic work there.
Yeah, my experience is kids are just so resilient, and oftentimes the things that in the back of our minds are like, yeah, that's not going to happen. They'll be like, yeah, they'll just show you, right? That is the terrific story.
In November, we're both registered for the McAdenville Christmastown 5K.
Oh, wow, that's
It'll
a great
be her
event.
First race, so
good for y'all. That is fantastic. Wow.
Shout out to Devke. Love you, baby.
Man, that's terrific. I'm not sure. Maybe that's about the second time I said maybe we should stop the podcast right there. So, Drew, what about a book or blog, an article you follow, just anything in general that might that you've read or seen that might be beneficial, or another podcast? Well, you know what? That gives me opportunity. We can shout out to your own podcast right before we finish here.
Hey, cool. I wasn't going to promote my own podcast, but
I know you weren't.
If you want to listen to the Marketing Rocket Fuel podcast, me and my friend Michael host that podcast. We do it once a month, and we talk about the things that you don't normally have marketing agencies tell you as a small business trying to market yourself. So this season, it's our second season on the podcast. The first season was all about the hidden costs that you don't expect when you're trying to market, and we actually tell you what things cost.
Awesome, yeah.
Amazing, shocking.
Yeah.
And this season is all about the different people on a marketing team and how artificial intelligence is affecting who those people are.
Yeah, that's interesting. At this point in our career here at GSM, or in my just studies in our industries that we have here, it's just we don't have a good grasp on it yet. I don't know that anybody does, but it's a really interesting topic that we could probably talk about for a while.
It's been creating a lot of excitement here in 2023 in this industry. So
yeah, very good. So listen, I appreciate you sharing that. So I appreciate you kind of indulging us on those Gaston County related questions and a little off topic there, but we're going to, a couple more questions. We'll be finished up here, Drew. So this question I like asking, besides the Gastonia East Rotary Club and the concert series, remember, the whole purpose here is to talk about why Gaston County is such a great place. Besides those two things, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
You know what? I run on the Avon Catawba Creek Greenway.
Yeah. And
I'm there about 3 or 4 times a week running that trail, and I talk to people all the time on there because, just because I can't shut up. But I love meeting so many different people. Gastonia is truly a melting pot. It's what America should be. And I just, it's so amazing to me. You get to talk to people, you hear where they come from, you hear where they've been, you get their perspectives. And we have such a huge variety of people all living here in Gastonia that are all working together. They all want a better community. They all want to make this area great. And, we don't always agree on how to get there, but it's a place where people can talk to each other. And you don't see that a lot. You see, a lot of places where people with differing opinions, different backgrounds will villainize one another and butt heads all the time. But this is really a place where people can talk to one another, talk through ideas, and come up with good solutions.
I agree. Well said. So knowing what you know now, Drew, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
And this is an easy one for me because I spent so much of my life living with the consequences of it. Take Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey.
That's good.
When you're 20 years old. Because when I graduated high school, I went into college for a very short time. I didn't have any financial education at all. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know anything about money. It just wasn't something we talked about. And I spent a lot of years broke and dirt poor and really, things would move forward a little bit and then I'd go broke, and move forward a little bit and then I'd go broke. And then I got involved with that program, and it really helped me be able to figure out how to manage money, let alone run a business, but how to manage money and get ourselves out of debt so that we could move ahead in life. And that was in my late 30s when I finally got around to doing that.
Yeah.
And so it made a huge difference in our family and our lives. And so, shout out to Dave Ramsey for that. But I wish I'd have done that when I was 20.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey. In fact, what Drew's talking about is there's a program, Financial Peace University, but he also has a book based on that called Total Money Makeover. That's based on the Financial Peace University. I'm not sure which came first. I think the university may have come first. He also has a radio show and a podcast. I think it's called The Ramsey Show. His organization has multiple podcasts, but the one specifically about personal finance, I think it's called The Ramsey Show. But
I listen to Entre Leadership.
I do too.
Every week.
That is a terrific,
great podcast.
And I actually like the recent format change where he's talking to business people.
Yeah, he's now the host of it.
Yeah. So, but that is one I have. I probably have 15 in my queue, and I probably listen to 7 or 8 really consistently, and that's one of them for sure. So it is a good. In fact, that book, Entre Leadership, is a great business book as well.
Yeah, I've read that.
Looking into
fantastic.
That. So Drew, this has really been good. I can't thank you enough for your time and the work that you guys are doing there at Gastonia East Rotary Club. So any last words? I mean, I know you've already shared how listeners can find the website and find out more about the concert series, but anything else you want to share? Any last words before we close this episode out?
Definitely go to GastoniaEastRotary.org if you want to find out more about our club or the concert series. But more than that, if you're out there and you're part of our community, look at your neighbor and say hi. Say hi to somebody, get to know somebody in your community because there's great people here.
You might freak somebody out the first time because I've noticed I try to make eye contact with people. Some people just don't want to do that. But you never know the connection you'll make. I mean, so
especially if they're not from
that.
here.
Yes.
Especially if they're not, because I wasn't from here.
Yeah.
And so if they're not from here, reach out a hand, say hi, give them an elbow bump, whatever the protocol is these days. But reach out to somebody and say hi.
All right, so that's good point to finish on there, Drew. I appreciate that. And I'm going to finish up with my own, book recommendation and quote and thought for the week like I normally do. And this is actually I'm sharing a podcast that I recently found. It was recommended to actually a couple episodes ago by, as a matter of fact, I think it's one episode we hadn't actually released yet, so I'll keep it a secret. Sorry, Andrea from the United Way. But I actually got this from Dave Ramsey. He's Craig Groeschel has a leadership podcast. As a matter of fact, I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his last name right, but Craig Groeschel, he founded, I think it's Life Church, who, if you're familiar with the Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app, or the Global Leadership Summit, which I think we might be talking about hopefully here in a few episodes, but it's really, I've listened to 8 or 9 episodes now, and it's really a good leadership podcast if you're interested in that kind of thing. And my quote of thought for the week comes from somebody that I've studied a little bit over time and like, most of what he says and has done. But Henry Ford said, "Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." It feels like we live in a time where one failure or one people think that you mess up a couple times and it's end or it's over or you can't recover. But, for me, maybe when I was younger I felt that, but I know as I've gotten older, I guess I've just screwed up so many times that I've got to where I can learn from them, hopefully, and move on. But that is just part of life, business, family, relationships, whatever the case may be. So don't get discouraged from a little failure, as long as you learn from it. So that's going to finish up this episode. And as always, to our listeners out there, please thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode, and please continue to spread the word and share our podcast. We never know when something we're talking about might impact somebody or, give somebody an opportunity to get involved. So please continue to do that if you can. Our email address here is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. And we're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at our website, which is gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts like Spotify or I guess Apple Music or anywhere you can find podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. And as always, according to Naomi, giving us a good 5-star rating helps us get noticed. Thanks again to Drew for being our guest today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.